The following words each occur 9 times in the Bible. Abusus, which means bottomless pit. Asibi, which means a godly. Aselgia means lasciviousness. And Astrabia means lightning. The gifts of the Spirit are 9 in number. The word of wisdom, the word of knowledge, faith, healing, miracles, prophecy, discerning of spirits, tongues, and interpretation of tongues. The number of perfection, 10, is disciple. There are 10 commandments. One 10th day reading comes in time. There were 10 plagues that apply to Egypt. There are 10 I am spoken by Jesus in the Bible. John chapter 10 refers to the Lord Jesus Christ as the great shepherd. 10 is disciple. Let me ask you a question. And a doctor friend of mine told me this. Why do you have to take antibiotics for 10 days? Why 10? Why not 9, 11, 5, 4? Why 10 days? Anytime you're fighting an infection or a disease or something, a question of the body, it takes 10 days for the body and immune system to regenerate and to strengthen itself. Antibiotics is to help, but it takes 10 days for it to fight and regenerate. Interesting. On surgery, it has to be on the 10th day or every 10 days. That's what they told my dad. And that's the best chance to do it. Something about the body, and every 10 years, 10 days, something. Every 10 days, new blood cells are flowing. Hair falls off, water comes in. Number 12. 12. The 12 tribes of Israel. 12 apostles. 12 foundations in the heavenly Jerusalem. There are 12 gates, not one. I've heard that many times. St. Peter is not at the pearly gate. That's a Catholic thing. That's not a biblical thing. There's 12 gates. There are 12 pearls, and there are 12 angels guarding that city. The measurements of the New Jerusalem are 12,000 furlongs or stadia, while the wall will be 144 cubits. 40 is the number of trial and probation. For those that are about to hit 40, you have passed your first trial of life. Life begins at 40. The Israelites wandered for 40 years of their own ignorance. Moses was on the mountain for 40 days talking to God. 40 days, Jonah was in Nineveh preaching the gospel, and Jesus was sentenced to 40 days of the devil. 153. Now you're probably thinking, what in the world is that number there? There's one. After the resurrection, the disciples caught 153 fish. The word fish in Greek is ixta, which has a numerical equivalent of 1,224 or 8 times 153. Remember, Jesus Christ, his number is 888. 153 people received the blessings of Jesus in the full gospel. Is that amazing? That's counting the 5,000 examples like that. You need to know this. You need to keep this with you, because as we study prophecy and revelation, you will need to know this. This is going to be much like a class, so you're going to have to endure what I did. No. For a while, this is going to be. We're going to go real slow with it. We're going to make sure that we all on the same page and understand it. Now, Matthew chapter 24. I want you to focus here in chapter 24, verse 14. What is the one sign that must be fulfilled before the end comes? What is the one sign that must happen before the end starts to take place? The answer is found in Matthew chapter 24, verse 14. Here it is. This gospel must be preached in all the world as a witness unto all nations. This is what Jesus said. He said, this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. Every nation on this planet must have the opportunity to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ. Every nation on this planet. Look at verse 14. And then shall the end come. Now I want to remind you of this. This is not a Pastor Pete thing. I'm not predicting the end of the world. Jesus himself said this. Matthew 24:14. The end shall come. Jesus is saying this, not me. Not the Pope, not any church or anyone else. Prophecy is a Jesus thing. Prophecy is about Jesus. Prophecy is about what Jesus taught, what will happen in the last days. So please remember this. What we're studying is what Jesus taught and what he said. Jesus said, yes, the end is coming. Now go back here to Matthew 24, go to verse 3. As he sat upon the Mount of Olives, oh, by the way, when Jesus comes back, where's he going to sit his foot on? Mount of Olives. Very good. The disciples came unto him privately, saying, Sir, Master, tell us, what shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of your coming? Now listen to this. And of the end of the world. Now why would the disciples ask us such a question? The end of the world? You know what they asked him the question? In the year 33 AD. I talked to a Jewish friend of mine. He has died in the world Jew. He does not believe in the New Testament. He does not believe in the New Covenant. He has told me this. He says, Sir, I respect you as a preacher and a pastor, but you're wrong. I said, really? Now, when people tell me I'm wrong, that's not the right thing to do. I said, Sir, I can prove to you that you believe in the New Testament. Oh, really? Okay. So he said, show me your Bible. Give me your best shot. I said, what's today's date? Can you show me today's date? Can you just write it? I said, yeah. You sure about that? Yeah. Can you write it? Oh, yeah. You just proved yourself on my phone. This is the year 2012. AD. After the resurrection of Jesus. That was the meaning of the year of our Lord. You said this is the year 2012. Yes, sir. This is the year of our Lord. So you do believe that Jesus existed. You do believe that he is the Messiah. You do believe that he came and died and resurrected. I'm the word. This is not something out of thin air. You looked at me. I thought you were going to cut me into it. I said, this is right here. You just wrote it twice. The simple things is what you need to show people that Jesus exists. In the Euro calendar. And also this, we did this in prophecy last night, and I'm telling you, three things can't exist merely soak them and talk this together. So we showed them the numbers of prophecy. Of course, this was the last year when Jesus, after this, 33.13, so he died. And he gave his life. So remember this. But yeah, you do believe in Jesus. How did this come about? You have to believe it. That's what it's about. Now, people placed there. Oh, this is going to be fun. Let's go to Genesis. How many times will the world end? Let's give a guess. How many times is the world going to end? It's going to end twice. Now, pretty sure you're crazy, okay? We're still here. It's 2012. I'm going to show you in the Bible. This is not a peak thing again. This is a biblical thing. Jesus said here in Genesis chapter 6, he told them that the world was going to end. And it was going to end in a certain way. I'll go back here to verse 5 in Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. The first book in the Bible says, And God saw the wickedness of man that was great upon the earth, and every thought of imagination of the thoughts of his heart were only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. God said this. This is what the Lord said. I will destroy man with whom I created from the face of the earth. Listen, you got to listen, because the detail is awesome. Both man and beast and the creeping things and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I've made them. God actually was so sorry about this when the world was created. Now look at verse 6 of the wickedness and the evil thoughts. Now this was in 4004 BC. Now let me ask you this question. If God was so disappointed in the sinfulness and wickedness of man in the book of Genesis, this is without TV, this is without radio, this is without internet, this is without all the filthy things that come on through the airwaves and radio waves and so on. How were these people so wicked then? Here's how. All the wickedness comes from an evil heart. If your heart is not right with God, it will think of evil and wicked things against God. Man was allowed to just be himself, which was sinful. God saw this and said, no more. If God saw this and said no more, what is he today? Is God happy? Do you think God's happy? God is happy what happened to our nation in the cold-blooded murder going under penalty? Do you think God is happy with all the abortions in these countries? Do you think God is happy being gay, lesbian marriages being accepted as law? Do you think that makes God happy? See, you know what our problem is? As long as we're happy, everything is fine. What's the old saying? As long as mama's happy, everything is fine. Forget daddy. I got news for you. As long as he's happy, everything is fine. When he's not happy, there's trouble. There's judgment. Look what God said in verse 7. I will destroy man. I have had it with him. I am sick of him. I am tired of the sin and wickedness. I am tired of everything. Even the creatures. Look what he said in verse 7. You know what? The beasts of the air, the creeping things, and the birds of the air, they're going too. Everything. I've had it. Verse 8, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. And these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man. He was a just man, a complete man, a perfect man in his generation. And Noah walked with God. 3 sons. Here's the version of my 3 sons. Shem, Ham, Japheth. These are Noah's sons. It says here in verse 10, Noah had 3 sons. No daughters. He had 3 sons. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Why is that important? Because out of Shem came the Jewish race. Ham came the African American race. Japheth came the Gentile race, all the rest of the races. Out of these 3 came the races that we have today. Shem, Jewish. Ham, African American. That's where Nimrod came from. And Japheth, the Gentile race. Many people believe that the Antichrist will come from the bloodline of Japheth, which covers the Arabians and Muslims as well. It's very interesting when you look at this. Verse 11 says, the earth was also corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. Now, if the earth was filled with violence back then, can you imagine now? And God looked upon the earth and said, you know what? It's corrupted. All flesh have been corrupted before me. I'm going to read you something here. Verse 17. I've heard preachers say this, and I know Kathy doesn't like it. I want to get into it. I don't want people out there, those that depend on TV for your worship, for your fulfillment, or your feeding. I suggest you go to someone that uses the Bible. I heard someone say that God will never destroy a human being. God will never send judgment upon the earth. I just read you some verses that God has in verse 7. And look at verse 17. God repeats it again. And behold, even I do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth, listen to this, and everything that is in the earth shall die. Everything that is in the earth shall die. Wow. Only God has the right to give and to life. We do not have that right. We have the right to defend ourselves, defend our family, and defend our nation. That's one thing. But only God has the right to life. Look at verse 18. You know what election is? Have you ever heard of that term? You people out there, and I know people take that because it's just that's the right outcome. Election means God's support. God chose the nation of Israel to be his nation. God chose Abraham to make a covenant with. Verse 18 says, But with thee, Noah, I'm going to establish a covenant. And that thou shalt come into the ark, you, your wife, your son, and your son's wife, are the only ones that are going to be in the ark. That's it. Verse 19, out of every living thing, here is today's trivia coming up. Out of every living thing of all flesh, two of every sort, union, male and female, to come alive into the ark. God actually commanded two animals, one male and one female, to just go in that ark. Is that amazing? That's awesome. Birds of the air, cattle of their kind, every creeping thing of the earth of its kind, two of them, male and female, should come alive into the ark. What's missing here? Fish. How come he didn't say get the fish? Were fish around? Did fish exist? God says things that fly, things that are on the ground, things that crawl on the ground. But he never says go into the water and get two fish. In the ark that God told Noah to go, how come there were no fish tanks? How come there was no water to hold the fish? Interesting. And I've always wondered about that. Teacher, how come there were no fish? The fish already were around. Go back here to Genesis chapter 1 and I will prove it to you. It says here in Genesis chapter 1, verse 7. Genesis chapter 1, verses 6 and 7. And God said, Let there be firmament in the midst of the waters, and let the waters divide from the waters. God made the firmament which divided the waters which were under the water from the waters which were above the firmament. Also it was so. There were already bodies of water here when God created the world. That's why he said, leave the fish alone. Don't worry. They're going to be right at home for the next 40 days. The flood's not going to kill them. They're going to love it. Verses 21, you better take enough food in that ark to eat, he said also. So he got two of each kind, and then you go to Genesis chapter 7, he got 5 of each kind, 5 animals of each kind, so they could eat in that ark. Oh yes, I'm sorry, Peter. There were no vegetarians in the ark. I'm sorry. You don't love me here. There were no vegetarians in that day. God said, if you get the chickens, you get the deer, that's what's going to feed on in that ark. Oh. 12 is the number. God made a covenant with Noah. God saved his man's life so that he could have Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Oh, remember what God said? Only 8 of you are going to be in the ark? Look what it says here in Genesis chapter 7, verse 7. Look what it says in Genesis chapter 7, verse 7. He said this. When the ark was done. Now look at verse 6. Noah was 600 years old when the flood of the waters came upon the earth. 600 years old Noah was. That spry young man of him. Woo! I guess 600 back then was 60, huh? Go to verse 7. And Noah went in, listen to this. Noah went in, his sons and his wife, and his son's wife with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood. God said in Genesis chapter 6, verse what? 18? He told him this. Only 8 of you are going to be in the ark. When the ark was finished, when the ark was done, who came out? 8 people. 8. 8 people went in the ark. New beginning. Out of this family came the human race. Wow. I'm just so excited. God help me. Let me go to Ephesians 1 Peter. First or second, let me go to 1 Peter 3:20. Let me show you something. That's interesting, no fish. Huh? Good detail. When this church grows and we have our Sunday school, we're going to point that out. This here, 1 Peter 3:20. Let me see, 2 Peter. No, it's in 2 Peter. 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 5. Let me write this down. 2 Peter 2 verse 5. They won the ark 40 days and 40 nights. That was the time of judgment. So the next time it rains here for like 5 days in a row, that's nothing. Time of judgment. 2, union. Noah and his wife, his sons, and their wives. Union. Matrimony. That's what it means. It's me and you against the world. 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 5. Let me ask you this question. Who was the first one in the ark? Noah. Who was the last one out of the ark? Verse 5 says this. God spared not the old world. Listen, he spared not the old world, but listen, he saved Noah, the 8th person. Noah was the last one to go into the ark. He made sure everybody was in there. He made sure that everything was done. Noah was the last person in the ark. He was a creature of righteousness, bringing in flood upon the world of God. This is Noah, number 8. We call him Mr. 8, the last one in there, and God made a covenant with him. For what? New beginning. You got work to do. Go populate the world. I like I like your reaction to dinosaurs. That's still over there. But yeah, that's true. But no fish were in the ark. So if someone tells you that, no. So you look in the world at that time. Now here are the differences between the world then and the world now. 10 is cycle. 10 cycles, that's 12. Remember, it's 120 years. According to God's clock and his calendar, cycles 12, 10 cycles of 12 were used for 120 years. And that's what God said, stop. It's over. That came out to the year 2448 BC. Josephus and all Jewish historians that have gone through painstaking investigation and trial have said that it was at the year 2448 BC when the flood happened. Why are we pointing this out? That means that there was a certain day, time, hour, and year when the world ended. What are we saying here today? There's going to be a certain time of day period when the world's going to end this time. And we go home. But we don't know that yet. It happened the first time at this point at this time, and it happened this way. But we don't know the day nor the hour. Now I would go through this. Now better not. Because last night was kind of hard last night. We went over this. We actually used math to show that, well, I better not. And then I can't answer all the questions, but if you go through the cycles, we have 7 cycles. We're closing in on the 6th cycle. You remember God says man shall work for 6 days and rest on the 7th? Well, that's how history's going to be. There'll be 6 cycles to complete everything in the Bible, and the 7th cycle, which is God's time, will be a time to speak the rest of eternity. Folks, we're closing in on the 7th. How close? If I tell you right now, I don't know. Again, it's just math, but let's just say we'll still be around by then. So it's, but we'll do that later. We can't do that now because people are going to like, what is this? So when you look at prophecy, when you look at the things that have happened, you look at these numbers, 2 animals, husband and wife, they are 40 days and 40 nights are then upon the earth in the time of judgment. Cycle of 10 times 12, which is of course Israel's number, 120 years. 8, Noah was the last one in the ark. After they come out, new beginnings, God made a covenant with him because he populated. Out of Noah came Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then he had 3 sons. They came through these here. I know it's kind of rushing here, but if you study this, these numbers are very important. These numbers can be important in prophecy when we get to Revelation and important in Genesis. We look at election, God's choice. God said only 8 people will be in the ark. How many were in the ark? 8 people. Now, why is this relevant? Election. I will finish on this note. Go to Revelation. Chapter 20, verse 12. Now remember, God said to Noah, there's only going to be 8 of you in the ark. After the flood, 8 people went in, 8 people came out. Here's an example in the New Testament. Revelation chapter 20, verse 12. Did you know that God knows exactly how many people are going to be in heaven? Did you know that God knows exactly how many people are going to be believers and Christians and be raptured? Did you know exactly God knows the exact number of people that are in the book of life? Look what it says here in verse 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And this is the great white throne judgment. This is for the unbelievers. These are for those that rejected Jesus as Lord and Savior. These are those that love the world and not heaven. They have no regard for God. You know what those books were that were opened? And we'll get into that as we get into prophecy. To those that reject Jesus Christ and do not repent of their sins, everything that they have done, said, will be exposed and open and judged before the eyes of God. But if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, God forgives your sin, you repent of your sin, it will never be brought up again. The number one thing I tell people in relationships, don't bring up the past. Don't dig up dead bones. Let them lie. God does. You should too. The books will open, and another book will open, which is the book of life. How important is the book of life? How important is your name written in the book of life? Here's how important it is. Look at verse 15. Look at Revelation chapter 20, verse 15. This is how important it is. It's a matter of life and death. Whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Now, I just want to leave you with a thought. The most important thing about prophecy, we're going to get into it, but the most important thing about prophecy is to prepare us of what's going to happen. But not only prepare us for what's going to happen, but to prepare us to meet God. And my question to you is really simple to you. Are you prepared to meet God? Are you ready to meet God? Bill O'Reilly gave one of the best commentaries that I've ever heard of the other night. He says the reason why this election is so close between the two that we have already for president is that people don't really understand what is going on because they're so infatuated and they're so confused with other things. The internet, handheld, I mean computer stuff, games, anything electronic, anything through media. People are so enwrapped with that they forget the real issues that are out there. They forget reality. People want to get away from reality so much that they become a part of this electronic media in which they know other people's business and they know things that are really, to be honest with you, are not relevant. And because of that, people think everything is fine because they don't face reality. Here's the reality. People are out of work and people are suffering. People need to hear about the good news of Jesus Christ. We don't need another economic program. We don't need another stimulus. We don't need another foreign policy. We need Jesus. We need His love. People are looking for love. We need to present Jesus. People are looking for answers. We need to present Jesus. People are hurting and have doubt and fear. We need to present Jesus. We're not doing what we're supposed to do because we want to get away from reality and just be happy in things that we care about. I have news for you. Reality is this. There's a heaven and there's a hell. That's real. You're either going to be in here or you're going to be in here. That's real. You go into the Bible, there's the book of life. God is going to open it. And if your name's not there, you will not be in heaven. That's reality. You will burn in hell forever with Antichrist and the false prophet and the devil and all his minions. That's reality. That's real reality TV. We need to focus on what's relevant, on what's real. We need to focus on what is now. And what is now is Jesus. Sometimes Jesus says things in our lives we don't understand and we don't like. But we have to do what is right. We have to have faith that He's going to do it. And if we don't, then we lose out. We're the ones that hurt. So for those out there that are in YouTube, I want you to follow this very closely. Every time we come on, this is about y'all. It's not about me. It's not about the church. It's about you. We're doing this for you. But the most important thing that we care about is yourself. Let's go to God. Our Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus. Lord, this is about you. Please, Lord, humbly ask you to help us to focus on your name. Please just focus on your grace. You give us so many warnings. You give us so many times. Help us to focus and prepare ourselves to be ready. We need to be ready for people. We need to be ready spiritually. Holy Father, there's so many other distractions on this planet that we're focusing on you. Forgive us for that. But more importantly, help us to focus on you more. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to peace and safety and expectation to live together. Praise the Lord. That is the most of all freedom. Because we know you're here with us. Through your Spirit, through your presence, we know you're here with us in your name. Heavenly Father, we pray that you will bless them. We have problems. We need you, Lord. And we're not ashamed to say it. There are problems bigger than us. We don't know what's going to happen, but you do. We need healing. We need direction. We need strength. We need you. There are problems in our families that are bigger than us, bigger than doctors. We don't know what's going to happen. You do. We need you. Heavenly Father, you protect our steps and you guide where we go and come from. We don't know what's going to happen. You do. We need you. Forgive us for our sins, Lord. Help us to be better Christians. We are living in the last days before all hell will break loose, Lord, literally. Help us to be the examples of life in this world. There's so much disrespect and so much lies going around that people are believing a lie rather than the truth. Help us to stick to the truth, show the truth, and live the truth in your name. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for all blessings. So you use the Sunni Bangalore. You could be in.